People's Channel.
Hello, it's 11 o'clock, which means it's time for tomorrow's newspapers tonight. Join us over the next hour to find out who is the Trump light putting an end to Justin Trudeau's reign of smugness, and can this dream team get along and save Europe? And why is King Charles chucking chalks? I'm Leo Kearse, and tonight I've got comedians Ben Adams and Nick Dixon taking you through Monday's top stories. There they are, ready to go. This is Headliners. But before we go through tomorrow's news, let's go to tonight's headlines with Sophia Wensler.
Leo, thank you. Good evening. These are your headlines at 11 o'clock. Tributes have been paid to 9-year-old Andre Gleisner, who was killed in the German Christmas market attack on Friday evening. In a tribute on social media, his mother, Desiree Gleisner, called him "my little teddy bear" and said he would always live in our hearts. The attack left 5 people dead and over 200 injured after a driver used an emergency vehicle lane to plough into the Christmas market in Magdeburg. German authorities are coming under fire after warnings about the suspect were received last year but deemed unspecific. Chancellor Olaf Scholz and ministers faced angry hecklers during a visit to the site as questions mount over security and how the attack could happen. Social media giant X, owned by Elon Musk, is also being scrutinised for failing to act on the suspect's threatening posts before the attack. Security has been ramped up across Germany and the rest of Europe, with armed police patrolling festive events and Christmas markets. In other news, Yvette Cooper has been attacked by angry voters who branded her two-faced for handing out mince pies while pensioners are, quote, freezing to death.
That is so two-faced, getting a mince pie out.
Yeah. It's a nice tradition.
No. Give them a blanket because they're freezing to death. They're freezing.
The Home Secretary was told she would be better off donating blankets to elderly people while dishing out the treats during a visit to West Yorkshire. In the confrontation captured on camera and shared on social media, the voter tells Ms Cooper she should heat the mince pies up to keep freezing pensioners warm after Labour cut their winter fuel payments. Now, a 35-year-old woman has been charged with murder following the death of a 5-year-old boy in Essex. Lincoln Button died on the 15th of December following an incident at Windstar Drive in South Ockendon. Police were called to the scene following reports of serious concerns for the welfare of a child and a woman, and officers worked alongside paramedics in an attempt to save Lincoln. 35-year-old Claire Button of Windstar Drive has now been charged with murder and will appear at Southend Magistrates Court tomorrow. And strong winds are continuing causing travel chaos in parts of the UK as millions of people travel ahead of Christmas. The AA predicts 21.3 million drivers will have hit the road today, capping off a weekend of record-breaking traffic. Yellow weather warnings for gales were in place and adding to the strain, grounding 100 flights at Heathrow and stopping a number of P&O ferry services. The Met Office is warning of continued disruption and even power cuts into tonight. Meanwhile, emergency services have rushed to Belfast City Airport this evening after a plane crash-landed onto the runway as Britain continues to be battered by 82-mile-an-hour winds. The airport's runway was closed this afternoon after an Aer Lingus plane suffered an emergency incident while performing a hard landing during the stormy weather. No one is believed to have been seriously hurt. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time for Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to news alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you, Sophia, and hello and welcome to Headliners, your first look at tomorrow's top stories with 3 comedians. Before we dive in, let's take a look at what Ben and Nick will have to work with on Monday's front pages. The Express has Labour set to drive UK headlong into recession. Oh, goody. The Independent has UK businesses brace for economic gloom. Merry Christmas, everybody. The Daily Mail has economy is heading for worst of all worlds. Bah humbug. The Sun has Tyson Fury says it's not over. The Guardian leads with revealed £100 million spent to thwart special needs claims. And The Star has jingle smells. Apparently millions of us won't shower between Christmas and New Year. Ben, let's have a closer look at those, starting with the Daily Mail.
Lovely. The Daily Mail has economy is heading for worst of all worlds. Businesses sound recession warning for start of 2025. I don't know if you know, but all businesses have a little button that they press when the recession's coming, and then it sounds an alarm and everyone, oh, it's coming. It's just, I mean, I don't know. Ever since I was born, I think maybe when I came out of my mother, someone was saying about a recession.
Yeah.
It's always a recession's coming. We're in a recession. The recession's nearly over. Now there's a new recession. It's just before Christmas as well. It's just, we don't need it.
Yeah, nobody ever sort of mentions when we're having a period of economic growth, which we actually were earlier this year.
Things are great.
Yeah.
That would be lovely.
The Tories, genuinely left the economy in a relatively decent state, considering how incompetent they were.
Yeah, there was that tiny bit of risky growth that no one really focused on. We were like the highest in the G7 for 10 minutes or something like that. Yeah, but no one talked about it. But worst of all, I'm not an economic expert, Leo, as you know. It's one of my few weak areas. But worst of all worlds sounds bad to me. I mean, every paper's basically saying it's terrible. What I don't understand is what Reeves was trying, because it seems so grim at the time. It seems so anti-growth. My theory is she saw Truss. She went, well, I'm not doing that. And she went too far the other way, right?
Yeah.
She didn't want to be a lettuce, but instead she's ended up a kind of wet cabbage, which is what everyone will be eating because of her budget, just boiled cabbage, like some sort of Russian novel.
If they could afford to boil it with the cuts to heating allowances and things. But yeah, when Reeves basically, introduced this sort of socialist, high-tax, high-spend budget, when what we really need is what Javier Milei in Argentina has shown us really works. I mean, Argentina is the best performing economy. It's moved from really quite entrenched decline to pretty rapid GDP growth. And he's shown that, slashing the state is the best thing to do for the country.
Yeah, my worry is how far it has to get before someone realises that, like, we have to be eating dogs first before anyone's like, maybe we should change this whole...
try.
Yeah.
Yeah. I admire your optimism that we'll be able to afford dogs. I think we'll be eating rats. And there's also a picture there of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, her partner, and she's accused a co-star in a film of sexual harassment, which is, I mean, it's nice to see a
Which
sort of
co-star?
We haven't had a bit of baudy Hollywood sleaze for a while. It's people have been very well behaved. I guess there is P. Diddy, which encapsulates
You'd be gutted if
of...
you were Ryan there, right next to a headline that says her co-star, sexual harassment, there's a big arrow pointing at him. And it's not even him. And it says Hollywood's ugliest feud, and it's pointing right at his face. It's not even him.
And his hand is on her bottom in that picture. So, if I was Ryan Reynolds, I wouldn't be happy
I'd be
that.
suing today.
Suing a lot of people. Moving on, Nick, we've got The Guardian.
Guardian has, well, where to start? I mean, at the top, they've got this revealed £100 million spent to thwart special needs claims, which is this weird story that basically councils can't afford anything, so they keep trying to deny certain educational needs, but it doesn't work because they only won 136 out of more than 10,000 tribunals in 2022 to 23, which is 1.2%. Of course, it's The Guardian, so this may all be false. This may be about something completely different. It might be about police crime stats or something. I've got no idea because it's The Guardian, but that's what they're saying. And we've also got the sort of, I suppose, the hot story at the moment, which is a weird way to put it, because it's such a horrific story, of the Christmas market, and more information on this guy. And The Guardian has sort of reprinted this idea that he was into far-right conspiracy theories, which I find highly questionable. Do you know what I mean? I think questioning the manifesto is generally a good idea. There was a guy in New Zealand, if you remember, it was a shooter in New Zealand. He cited Candace Owens and Spyro the Dragon. Like, the guy was trolling. So I don't always believe these manifestos.
And the comedian Andrew Lawrence made a great point. He said, judge people based on, what they do, who he's driven into, where it is. It's a Christmas market.
Not their
it's
internet history.
It's Christians, it's your traditional Germans going out to enjoy Christmas festivities. So, a far-right person would presumably have attacked, something that the far-right see as their enemy.
The other thing I just add is it says the German government has vowed to investigate whether a Christmas car market attack could have been prevented, and I say yes, it could, by not having loads of immigration, because that's the bottom line, isn't it? I mean, whatever the exact...
That's what we need.
Yeah,
More
well, we're
pillars.
going to get to that in the next section because they've got the protests in Germany. But it looks like the police in Germany missed some opportunities to stop him. He was known to the police, Ben. Saudi Arabia apparently
They're making up
asked to
for it now,
extradite.
though. The German police are on it at the moment. They're just going.
After the
they seem
event.
to be going around just rounding up anyone that dares to question anything.
Yeah, but it does seem that, so many... I've seen screenshots of this guy's social media posts, and he was posting about... he's posting some pretty horrific stuff, threatening to do horrific things, not dissimilar to what he actually did. And I know, sometimes after a bottle of white wine on Twitter, people post crazy things.
Yeah.
This guy actually did it.
And was no one going, hang on, that's my doctor?
Yeah.
It's mad.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. A doctor, and he's supposed to be. We're told we need mass immigration because some of the people who come are doctors.
And then he turns out to actually be a doctor.
This is one of the
but then-
doctors.
yeah, it's crazy.
And you know who the other one is? Bashar al-Assad. He's an eye doctor.
Which he's going back to now. Apparently he's going to go back and do that in Russia. But you're right, it does completely end the doctors. If an engineer does something, then that's the whole argument gone, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, Ben, we've got the I paper. What have
Yes,
they got?
we've got pension protests. PM faces biggest rebellion yet in New Year vote. Labour rebels believe dozens of MPs will revolt against the government's refusal to compensate WASPy women, with a vote likely to take place in the new year.
Are these waspy women? They're just women you don't want at a picnic.
Yeah, the sting. Yeah, they're not good. Hang around your beer, try and take it. I think next year is going to be the year of the pensioners. They all need to rise up and just attack. It's been
To be fair, hasn't that kind of been every year for about the last 30 years?
No, but
Don't they have
actually
all
need
the
to
money?
attack. They proper need to get on it. I think it's been a terrible year for women of a certain age.
Yeah, Greg Wallace.
Yeah, it's not been good. And there's nothing angrier than those sort of ladies. And good stuff. You should, like I say, just march.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful with that claim, Ben. You're going to have to claim autism after you've said that.
I am autistic as they come, don't you worry.
Yeah, how did you end up in comedy? Yeah, I mean, in Labour's defence, I mean, I think just dishing out more money to pensioners just isn't really an answer anymore. What we need to do is actually look at pushing back the pension age, like they've done in France. Like, although in France it was about 48, I think you could claim a pension. But really, the government's spending too much on the older generation, and some people in the older generation actually have quite a lot of money.
That's the tricky thing, isn't it? You don't want to talk about people who are struggling, who don't have the winter fuel payment, all these people that Labour are freezing. Obviously, you have massive sympathy for them.
Yeah.
And then there's the sort of boomers that own 16 houses.
But then I think that's the problem, is a lot of people do think that all the boomers have loads of money and they own all their own houses, and of course, a lot do. But there's the sort of unheard of pensioners that are really struggling with their winter fuel payments. They really struggle with things like this, and it's those sort of people that you have to sort of look at sometimes, because I know it's easy to just go, oh well, my family, my older family all own their houses and things like that, and yeah, it's important. You have to look after the older.
Yeah, and also when people talk about the wealth that the older generation have, quite often that is tied up in houses, and it's really unfair to say to somebody who's bought and paid for that house and lived in it all their life, you've got to sell it up and move to somewhere you don't know.
Right, and they've also got brutal inheritance tax as well. It's all, but this is causing a big problem for Starmer, because there's apparently 100 backbenchers who are deeply unhappy. And this is the thing: you've got the benefit cap, you've got the winter fuel payment, you've got several policies where Starmer is very unpopular, even within his own party.
Yeah.
Who's going to replace him if he gets out?
We're getting onto that later, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's crazy. It's got echoes of Boris Johnson, who led the Tories to an incredibly successful victory in 2019. But then, I mean, it took him a bit longer. But he had people who dragged him down and replaced him. Didn't work out well for the Tories, though. Moving on to the Sun, Nick, they've got Tyson Fury.
Yeah, Fury, it's not over, and it's whether he'll fight AJ next. So if anyone somehow missed it, if you're living in a cave and you don't watch boxing videos all day like me, well, Fury lost again to Alexander Usyk, who is an extraordinary fighter. I mean, they both are incredible fighters. I'm probably the biggest Tyson Fury fan in the world, including his dad. But even I say he lost the fight. But Fury was saying he thought he won it by 3 rounds. I suppose he's in there. Frank Warren, his promoter, of course, thinks he won it. But it was definitely closer than the judges gave it. They gave it 116 to 112 unanimously. That was not realistic.
Just on points.
On points. And that wasn't realistic, but Usyk did win. He's just too good. He doesn't really have weaknesses. His work rate is incredible. His stamina, he can hit from all angles. People say he's weak to the body, but he's not that weak to the body. So it's a big problem. So the question, no one can beat him, literally unbeaten. The question is what's going to happen now? Will he retire? Will he go down to cruiserweight? Will Fury retire, or will he fight AJ, which is still a massive money fight if he can be bothered?
Yeah, and do you think Tyson Fury, do you think he's peaked?
Yeah, I think he did. What I'd really have liked to have seen, and sorry, Tyson, don't hurt me, but what I'd love to have seen him at his absolute best. In the Wilder 2 fight, he was an absolute monster. It was extraordinary. Just destroyed this guy who was meant to be the biggest puncher in boxing, just destroyed him.
Yeah.
That Fury against P. Usyk would be incredible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I know nothing about boxing.
I know a weird amount about it. I should do a
in
spin-off boxing show. I've just realised it's ridiculous.
I've got to say, boxing, all fighting sports are like the best sports. And you know this because if a fight breaks out at the stand at football, everybody turns around and watches the fight because
watch
it's more
a fight
fun.
in the street. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we need to bring that back.
Yes.
Street fight with Leo Kerr.
Yes, that's what I like.
Live from Glasgow. Finally, we've got the Daily Star.
This is my sort of thing. This is what I like, OK? The Daily Star, jingle smells, millions won't shower between Xmas and New Year's Eve. This is what I want before Christmas. 2 days before Christmas, I want this sort of story. Lovely.
Yeah.
People aren't going to shower between... Great. Good stuff. You go ahead. That's fine.
It'll be like
Smelly
lockdown.
grandma. I think we should all do it together and we can all smell each other and keep Christmas going. So when it gets to like the 28th, we can all sniff each other and smell our sprouts and go,
Yeah.
Christmas is
Nick,
still alive.
You're a notorious germaphobe. You probably don't approve of this.
I don't approve of this. I'm stunned by this. I mean, between Christmas and New Year, they're going to go without a wash or change of pants. That's a lot of days.
You can have a little wash. A little wash, I reckon. Not a full shower.
At the sink.
Are you behind this? Are you a pioneer of this?
Do you know what?
You sound like you've got systems in place.
Yeah, if someone has to force me into the shower. It's
The thing
been
is,
3
I'll
days.
be like,
Ben.
I'm working
Here
at
we go.
Christmas. I have to work here on Boxing Day. I can't just come in and stink. I mean, it doesn't bother some people here, but I can't. I was going to just do another Lewis Schaefer joke. I thought, don't do it, Lewis. It's going to be a raw meat joke. But the point is,
I love my raw meat.
have a shower. Come on, guys, just for yourself. I can understand one day, missing one day.
Yeah.
But this is like many, many days.
I don't know who they're asking, really. I mean, of course I'm going to have
Daily
a shower.
Star readers.
But who are they asking? Who's in the street going, yeah, I ain't showering for no one?
Yeah, I've
we'll
got to
put
be honest,
that
I was out and about today, and I don't think the message that needs to be sent out to the people of Britain is you don't need to wash. You need to get, you need some delousing powder thrown on you. That's what I think. Anyway, that's the front pages done and dusted, just like those people in the street. Up next, why is Keir suffering from post-electile dysfunction, and who's the Diet Trump taking on Trudeau? This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Cryptocurrency entrepreneur Justin Sun spent $6.2 million, £4.9 million on a banana, duct taped to a wall, a piece of art by artist Mauricio Catalan. Other artwork has recently caused controversy. A portrait of the British computer scientist Alan Turing by the world's first ultra-realistic robot artist, that is to say ADAR, sold at auction for almost $1.1 million. Joining me now to talk about these latest hoo-has is art critic and mentor at the University of Arts London, Estelle Lovett. I have a feeling that in the case of the banana, it's quite a lot to do with the buyer. Now, you've researched the buyer a little bit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Justin Sun?
Yes, so he's a very wealthy cryptocurrency dealer. And of course, you know, everything now is AI and FTs, and it's the way that money's going, and it's very good publicity for him. So obviously, you know, he's not daft. But what makes this banana so unusual is, and it has, as you say, taken the art world by storm. It is the current spectacle, and what's amazing is that even during these very difficult times, the art market still manages to spend big on a significant fuss. Why has it created this fuss? Well, don't forget, the winning bid just happened in a matter of minutes. It took Justin Sun minutes to beat 6 other rivals. So they've all got mega bucks in their pocket. But, you know, it's conceptual art at its best.
GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
this is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Leo Kearse and I'm still joined by Ben Adams and Nick Dixon. Well, we've got the Express now in this section, and after a refugee in Germany had continued the Christmas tradition of killing people at a market, it looks like Germans have finally reached their limit, Ben.
Yes, from the Express, furious German protesters demand mass deportations after Magdeburg Christmas market attack. Furious Germans have taken to the streets to demand mass deportations after the attack at a Christmas market in Magdeburg that killed 5 people and injured more than 200. Absolutely awful. I don't know if we can say the guy's name, not because we're not allowed, just because I don't know if we can actually say it to pronounce it. But let's call him Mohammed Christiansabad, a 50-year-old Saudi Arabian citizen who lived in Germany for more than a decade, worked as a doctor. Look, it's an awful thing, absolutely awful. Yeah. But the problem, and this is what I hate with stuff like this, is that we're so desensitised to it now. We're like, of course this happened. It's just another regular occurrence. And it's getting to the point where how many protests can we have? How many marches can we have?
Yeah.
It's not doing anything.
And I sort of feel that we've sort of reached a tipping point in Europe. I think up until a few years ago, we'd have terror attacks and people would come out and sing, don't look back in anger, you know, religion of peace, although I'm not suggesting this is an Islamist attacker. It's just got the hallmarks of, you know, the sort of the Islamist attacks that Europe suffered for the last, 20 years. And I feel that the attitude has changed now. And people are now openly saying, people were marching last night carrying a banner saying remigration, if that's how you pronounce it. Is it remigration?
Remigration.
Remigration. Yeah. And the AfD, who are the far-right party in Germany, who want to, close the borders and send some people back, obviously not everybody, but they have that as one of their platforms, are now leading in the polls. Alice Weidel is leading in the polls to be Chancellor in February's election.
I saw Elon Musk was saying about them, and then everyone jumps on and says, no, the AfD are far right, we can't have this. And then suddenly the argument becomes about, well, which party and blah, blah, blah. What we need to do is just stop these things from happening. It's just getting to the point now where I'm fed up with it, and so many other people are. And you can see the anger in the streets.
And when it's a 9-year-old child, I mean, I've reached the point, I don't care what they have to do. Yeah. Just, make sure that doesn't happen again. And I don't care if it means, it's mean or somebody gets called racist or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I just don't want any more children to be killed. It's just not right.
Exactly. And we all grew up in a completely different country, because it's happening in Britain as well. And now you see these barriers on Christmas markets. You think, how has it come to this? This didn't need to happen. Yeah. I see it as just a complete betrayal by our ruling elites across Europe, across the West. And that's the key. The old system's failing. The old progressive elite, it doesn't know how to deal with this. Because ideologically, it can't deal with it because it somehow believes that it's in the wrong and that the West is wrong or that borders are wrong. And so people are looking for other alternatives, even if it is AfD, who, as you say, were thought of as far right. People are going, OK, these guys, which will, of course will happen because the current elite has completely failed to deal with it, doesn't have the will to deal with it, could deal with it. You see how they treat people who are, the out-group, other out-groups who the government doesn't favour. Suddenly, when it comes to it, they can mobilise when they really want to. you can't believe they haven't got the manpower. It has to be about the will to do it.
Do you think mainstream parties will start adopting some of the policies of these supposedly far right parties? I mean, in this country, Keir Starmer has suddenly done a complete volte-face and is saying the window's just jumped over here. He's saying they're going to take a much harder line on immigration.
Well, that's the key, and I was going to get onto that in the next story, because the key is the solution going to come from parties like Reform or AfD or Trump or is it going to come from, well, yeah, Trump is a bit different, but in Europe, is it going to come from the current elite sorting themselves out or being completely displaced? That's the question, because as you say, if Starmer really got wise to it and really sorted himself out, he could actually do it. But has he got the will or the ability to do it?
And there's also this utopian thinking in the Labour Party and most progressive parties where they think we can have this multicultural...
It's always the way like that.
Multicultural utopia, so we're moving towards that, and if there's some blips along the way, they see that as acceptable.
It's this thinking of no matter how evil or horrible a person is and their feelings towards certain people, there's this idea that you can sort of, well, if we just sit down and talk to them and go, this is bad... they'll understand.
They think all cultures are the same, and they think people are mutable, and they can just be, as you say, sort of coerced with the right level of propaganda. But it seems doubtful.
Well, speaking of Keir Starmer, we've got the Daily Mail now with the shocking revelations that Keir Starmer isn't doing very well, Nick.
So it's Keir Starmer had no plan after taking office, and his government is already defined by drift and dysfunction, insiders claim. And this is a sort of long piece from Jason Cowley in the New Statesman. And it's all the sort of things going wrong with Starmer. And one Labour veteran has said the riots saved him, but that he has no plan, unlike Jonathan Powell in 1997. I mean, I would even question the riots part. I don't think he handled it well. I think it's one of those things like lockdowns where it may seem popular among some people at the time, but long term we'll see it was terrible. But even aside from that, even if we accepted that, we've still got a long list of issues he's had. The elderly with the winter fuel payment, the WASPy women we just discussed, the farmers, small business owners with the national insurance contribution, the lack of growth. Bank of England says zero growth. The allegations of sleaze, the freebies, Lord Alley. Cronyism is a new thing people are saying with the House of Lords. And he's got to really hope that these tough decisions, as he calls them, pay off, because if they don't, he's in trouble. And there is a piece as well from Dan Hodges, and it is Dan Hodges, so let's calm down. It's in the Mail Plus saying, is he actually in trouble of going? Because one question is, will Labour survive, after 4 years? But there's a shorter-term question about, will Starmer survive if he carries on like this?
Well, yeah, because there are already apparently 100 Labour backbenchers who are making moves to depose Starmer. That's the rumour that I think it was reported in the Express, which, I mean, it seems incredible after such a sort of monumental victory. Well, on paper it looks like a monumental victory.
It's such a short amount of time, but my thing is like, but who's going to replace him? Are they going to be any different? I just think for the next 4/5 years, we're just going to see things like everything you've just mentioned. We're just going to see time and time again Starmer failing, Labour failing, and all I can hope is that it just wakes as many people up as possible, still people that are loyal to Labour, to finally go, OK, we need some sort of just a different party.
Yeah, well, at least we'll have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got the Express now with a big win for reform and free speech as the government is forced to reveal how many foreigners are claiming benefits in Britain, Ben.
Absolutely. Express, Reform UK victory as DWP caves into crucial demand about non-UK citizen benefit claims. Reform UK has won a huge victory as the Department for Work and Pensions have caved into an MP's request to be more open about how many households with non-UK citizens are claiming benefits, which is great. We should know these figures, and I imagine it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
But this is what surprises me, is that Reform have 5 MPs, and yet they seem to be time and time again just going forward and doing things that we want.
They feel like the opposition in Parliament.
Yeah. I saw Nigel Farage the other day at Prime Minister's Question saying, I was in Mar-a-Lago the other day. And you think, well, how is... You've only got 5 MPs and you're basically on the direct line to the next President of the United States. And then you think, you've got Lib Dems who've got 72 MPs. And what do they do? They do nothing.
Ed Davey just hangs out at various theme parks.
Ed Davey's he's basically just running around dancing. I think he's sleeping with 1,000 men in 24 hours as well.
That is something I won't be signing up to.
You've got to say that's not true so we don't get sued by Ed Davey.
Oh, yeah,
that's not true.
That's just a rumour.
Yes. But it's just baffling to me. I just find it crazy. But good on Reform. I'm a big Reform reform UK supporter.
Yeah.
I hope they don't let me down in 4 years within that time.
And for balance, I also love reform. No, I will criticise reform when they're being wet, but Rupert Lowe seems to be totally on it. He seems to be totally aligned with people I know.
Yeah.
And his tweets are incredible. And he's doing the good work here, looking into things like this. And he said reform don't all have to toe the party line. So he actually is different, perhaps, from Farage on some things.
Yeah.
But this is great work that he's doing, getting this data out, though we still need to know the spousal visas. Apparently that data is not currently collected. How many spousal visas has been issued to cousins? Why don't we have that data?
Yeah.
So, but he's starting the ball rolling. If Starmer actually was serious about stopping excess immigration, he would want this data out there. Because if you find out that people have just been committing crimes and getting endless money, then it'll help the cause to get normal people on board about immigration.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, still to come, why fake wrestling makes real politics and how Trump and Farage could be the besties we all need. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. As we go through the Christmas period, we'll see much milder weather affecting the UK. A lot of cloud around at times, giving outbreaks of rain, mainly towards the northwest, elsewhere largely dry. At the moment, we've got a chilly north to northwesterly airstream affecting the UK, tightly packed isobars, with low pressure anchored there toward the northeast of the UK. And as we head through the evening and through the overnight period, we hold on to brisk winds, a gusty north to northwesterly airstream feeding further showers in from the northwest. The showers are a little bit wintry at times across the high ground in Scotland, with the best of the clear spells developing towards the south and east of the UK. And wherever you are, quite a chilly night. Temperatures down into mid to low single figures, perhaps locally dipping down to around freezing, giving a patchy frost in places, and the odd icy patch towards the northeast of the UK as well. As for Monday, well, we start the day with further wintry showers towards the northeast. The showers mainly wintry on the high ground in Scotland. Elsewhere across the country, some sunshine, with rain approaching the west coast there first thing on Monday. Outbreaks of rain also reaching much of Northern Ireland, but notice temperatures here a little bit milder than of late. And one or two showers across Wales, the far southwest of England, but elsewhere across the south and east of the UK, it's a fine, fairly chilly start. Fairly clear skies too, with plenty of sunshine developing as we go through the morning. And we hold on to lots of sunshine across those southern and eastern spots through the day on Monday, with cloudier skies, outbreaks of rain working their way in across many northern and western areas. A few heavy bursts of rain across Northern Ireland during the morning, pushing in across Irish Sea areas into the afternoon. And turning quite breezy once again after those winds have eased during the first part of Monday. Quite chilly towards the south and east at 5 or 6 degrees, but starting to turn milder out towards the west and northwest. As we head into Christmas Eve and much milder days on the cards across the UK. A lot of cloud around, turning breezy at times. Some rain too, mainly towards the northwest, elsewhere mostly dry, some hill fog in places. But notice much milder temperatures than we've seen in recent days, temperatures into double figures. And we hold on to rather cloudy but very mild conditions going through the rest of the Christmas period, with temperatures up to around 12 or 13 degrees.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, and let's have a look at tomorrow's front pages. The Express leads with Labour set to drive UK headlong into recession. The Independent has UK businesses brace for economic gloom. The Daily Mail has economy is heading for worst of all worlds, but please don't turn off just yet. I know it's depressing so far. The Sun says Tyson Fury, it's not over. Hey, some good news. The Guardian has revealed £100 million spent to thwart special needs claims. And the Daily Star has jingle smells. Millions of people won't shower between Christmas and New Year. Well, getting back into the stories, we've got the Times now, and Justin Trudeau is on the way out. So what do we know about the guy who's going to replace him, Nick?
Yeah, so the headline is the Trump-like Canadian who plans to take down Justin Trudeau. I think that's a harsh headline because it's Pierre Poilievre, who I think is his own man. He's not just Trump-light. And he had this viral clip people will have seen while he was eating an apple while dismantling someone's arguments. He's a cool guy. There was a recent clip where, you know, the finance minister resigned just before the budget, putting Trudeau in serious jeopardy. Yeah. And then Poilievre in the parliament said, I have one question for the finance minister. Who are you? Because there's like some new guy.
Well,
anyway,
I've got one question for you. Who's this Pierre Poilievre?
Yeah, well, he's an interesting guy. He's the Conservative leader in Canada. He's a Thatcherite type guy. He wants small government, low tax. He actually, in 1999, as a student, won a $10,000 essay contest. What he'd do if he became prime minister. Then actually did, which is awesome because that hardly ever works.
And Trudeau has wrecked the country. I mean, the price of housing has absolutely spiralled out of control. His borders are open. You know, per capita, they've had higher levels of immigration than the UK.
Yeah. Oh, wow. One thing I just found funny is this little poll they did that if you were hosting a party, who would you want to host a party? People said Trudeau by 20 points. So I'd be careful it's fancy dress because he can get a bit carried away with some of those. But
He'll
then
come as Ngozi Fulani.
Yes, he can come as the wrong guy like 6 times. But if they were putting out, if it was to put out a kitchen fire, they picked Poilievre by 20 points. So the point is, Canada is in a different state. We're not in the state anymore where we can have sort of libs just messing around talking about the climate. We need to actually fix real problems, so people are looking to him. He cared about the truckers, he cares about working people and those kind of concerns.
This is a theme that's going on around the world. Like the theatre kids have been running things and, you know, having their parades and all the rest and having badges and lanyards, and the world's falling apart. So now we need to get the engineers, the people who can actually do stuff, people like Musk back in
well, that's what I think we're going to see way more of everywhere, all over the world. Just revolutionary leaders coming in and people that you wouldn't expect getting into power.
Yeah. People who can do stuff. Well, moving on, we've got The Guardian, and it looks like Elon Musk will be allowed to hand millions to Nigel Farage, but will he want to, Nick?
So it's how far do Elon Musk and Reform UK share a political vision? It's a Guardian think piece. So there was apparently this survey by Survation, and they were according to them, even among Reform voters, 51% didn't want to see Musk become influential, and 2/3 in general didn't want him to be influential in British politics. And of course, it's this thing, we all know there are people who are influential on the left, but they're allowed, but Musk isn't allowed. So we all know the hypocrisy. I think it's interesting how far people like Reform and Musk are the solution to our current problems. I think they're interesting. This talks about how they share a need to disrupt. They want to disrupt. They hate wokeness, and they want to, they like things like stripping the government down with the Doge thing. I can see they're all aligned on those sort of Thatcherite libertarian values. I wonder if it's going to be enough to really fix the problems that we have, but it's fun and it's better than what we currently have.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think in America we're going to see Elon just do wonders. I think over the next few years we're going to really see some amazing things from him. Yeah. I do worry, of course, like I'm full on Elon Musk and Reform fanboy, but of course I worry that power always corrupts, and will it go, the wrong way?
Yeah.
I always worry about the right, these parties on the right being a kind of containment, a kind of watered down, like, oh, here's your candidate now. Look, you've got your thing you wanted, your populist people, but did they really do enough? There's a sort of counterintuitive argument that Labour could actually do more if they actually wanted to. If the elite changed its kind of operating ideology, as I was saying before, it could actually get more done. But if not, it will have to be replaced.
Yeah. But what if Elon Musk comes in and scraps the elite and all the, all the apparatchiks, all the civil service servants that are blocking these actions are out in the rear and replaced?
Yeah. It sounds wonderful, but it's just a case of will it work at the end of the day? Like, we haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
So if he does that, then great. That sounds like a brilliant idea, but hopefully it will work.
Well, he'll immediately represent a new counter-elite. The question is, what is the character of that counter-elite?
Yeah, and Milei did it in Argentina. True. It worked amazingly. Well, moving on, we've got the Times now, and the Church of England is in terminal decline. Surely it could be invigorated with a new crusade, then.
Yeah, this is from the Times. Scandals, schism and decay. Is the Church of England doomed? Justin Welby and others have left in disgrace, and the gaps between factions are widening. The C of E is on the decline. I just think it's not extreme enough for this world. For 2024, you need extreme religions. You need, religions that are exactly what they say on the tin.
There are some of them, Ben.
No, there are, and that's why they're so popular. No, but even, Catholicism and stuff, religions that go full on. C of E, for me, is a little bit wishy-washy. It's like, it's dipping its toe into Jesus sort of thing.
And
and
I
that's
really
why
feel that the church has really tried to stay current with all these trends. It's like it's reinvented itself more times than Madonna.
Yeah.
And if there's something that shouldn't really reinvent itself or dress up like Madonna, it's the church.
Yeah, there are people who say you've got to stay and save it, like a friend of mine, the Reverend Dr. Jamie Franklin. He says, stay and save it, don't leave it to the wolves. And he's a great guy, and he'd be the right sort of person to lead it. But then there are other people who say it's too late, we've got to abandon the Church of England. And obviously they've had this scandal recently. But you can argue that any sort of organisation where it's just, men with young men all together in some sort of closed organisation, you can see why these things happen in the Catholic Church. Not to excuse it, of course. But you wonder, but I agree with you in that if they'd have stuck to their ethos, they would have been in a stronger position. What they are essentially now to me is a woke corporation that's having a scandal. And Welby, he's an ex-oil guy.
I don't know what the Church of England stands for, really. I couldn't point to anything and say, right, this is their view on that.
It stands for LGBTQ+.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the thing. It should stand for the Bible. Yeah. I mean, I don't even go to church, and even I understand that. And I don't go to church, but I like the idea that it's there. And I feel that if the church was different, I might go to it.
It's very nice.
What we have, I've said it before, in this system, we don't have any morally neutral institutions. We just have this one central ideology, and every institution has to parrot it. So they parrot the ideology of the day, which is what wokeness, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And that's so clear. In the past, the church was a kind of rival castle to the king in certain instances, but now it's all one blob. So, of course, they're just another woke institution.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. And we've got the Times now with the story of how Trump got US politics in a chokehold, Ben.
Oh, right, yes. How the world of wrestling helped Trump win the White House. I've been saying this for a while, actually. I mean, I like Trump, but I also like wrestling, so which could be both the same thing. But I feel like Trump learnt a lot from his time at the WWE. He was there for quite a little while, and you can just see when he gives his speeches, you're like, this is wrestling. This is complete wrestling. You've got the music coming up, and he comes out, and now he's appointing Linda McMahon, which is the wife of Vince McMahon, disgraced now, Vince McMahon, as education secretary. And
he's the head of WWE, WWF?
Not anymore, no.
Oh, not anymore.
He got very naughty with one of his staff.
Allegedly. Isn't that alleged at this point?
Well, there's texts and stuff. I don't know.
You've seen them?
I've seen the text. Allegedly. We'll say allegedly.
We'll say allegedly. It's
It's in America as well, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to besmirch the name of Vince McMahon.
No, of course. I mean, you need to look at the text, man. Honestly.
Okay, I haven't.
But Linda McMahon, it sounds ridiculous, like to say that WWE royalty, Linda McMahon, is now education secretary. That sounds ridiculous.
It does a bit.
It really does. But the reality is that Linda McMahon has had to put up with a hell of a lot. She's done a lot for the company. She is... she's a fantastic businesswoman.
Yeah, and when we saw in a US public school in California this week, a maths teacher wasn't teaching maths, he was teaching the children how to come out as gay or lesbian. He had an activity in the class where they all had to say that they were gay and lesbian and pretend to come out. So you can see why, pretty much anybody, a plank with a face drawn on it, would probably do a better job as education secretary.
That'll get you a lot further in the current world than the isosceles triangle. But yeah, I mean, yes, they're always using this story to say, like, as if Trump's going to be there, like, pile-driving people and stuff. Trump's into wrestling. But actually, she was CEO of a major company, which was the WWE, from 1980 to 2009. She's been a Republican candidate in Connecticut twice. She did actually lose, but she's been on the Connecticut Board of Education. So it's not that ridiculous, really.
No. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, still to come in the final section, which chocolate has been given the royal flush? And we've got some sexy photos from an uncontacted Amazonian tribe. Let's hope it's a Brazilian. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest With the Sun forecast. If you're travelling over the Christmas period, it's certainly going to remain unsettled for central parts of the Mediterranean. There's an area low pressure brings some strong winds, some heavy rain and also some snow to the higher levels. Something a little bit quieter for parts of Iberia, plenty of sunshine to be had here, but then down towards the Canaries, still the risk of some showers, although it will improve here as we approach Christmas Day itself. Temperatures in Madeira reaching around 20 degrees on Christmas Day.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Britain's royal collection of art is one of the most important and largest in the world. And it's also one of the last great European royal collections to remain intact. And built up over many centuries, it has extraordinary depth. And curators have delved into its riches to produce an exhibition of Italian drawings between 1450 and 1600. There are household names here: Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. Some of the drawings are complete works in themselves. Some are studies for images that would appear in much larger pieces. And some are anatomical studies which enabled these artists to draw the human form in all its perfection.
This is the earliest drawing in the exhibition of around 1450, and it's made by Fra Angelico, the great Florentine painter. It may seem an obvious thing to say, but we only have drawings like this if they have survived. And these drawings were not seen at the time as works of art. They were workshop studies. They were as functional as a hammer or a paintbrush, if you like, in the workshop. But the fact that a drawing would survive from 1450 to the present day shows that first it was useful, and it was a work that would have been referred to constantly in the artist's studio, and only later was it valued by collectors as an exemplar of the artist's genius, if you like, the way in which we might think of it today. So a drawing like this, which is in almost perfect condition, has got a history of being valued for different reasons from when it was produced to the present.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the final section of Headliners. We've got the Times now asking if you can still have a love life if you live with your parents. Well, I guess you can if your dad's Joseph Fritzl, Ben.
Yes, indeed. The Times, can you have a love life if you're still living with your parents? A lot of people now obviously can't afford homes. They're living with their parents till a grand old age of around about mid-30s. Yeah, lots of people saying, oh, it's really difficult. It's this sort of stuff that annoys me when people go, oh, isn't it? Oh, you can't have sex when your parents are home. Look, if you want to do that, that's fine, but you will have to listen to your parents have sex as well. It goes both ways. Like my mum. No. Yeah, it goes both ways. You have to put up with that. If you're willing to put up with listening to your parents have sex, then you can have sex. That's fine.
OK, that's too much information. Nick, what do you make of this?
I'm amazed that someone who lives with their parents could get a girlfriend in the first place. That's what I'm impressed about.
They can.
Yeah, I suppose their parents would have to have like one of these massive boomer houses we've spoken about.
Maybe that's behind the issue that young men and young women just aren't getting together and dating anymore. It's because both of them are living with their parents.
I think that's one of many, many reasons, isn't it? It's also the Pareto distribution of the dating market, which that's too much to get into. It's the political divide between young people. That's massive. Young women are far left and young men are cool.
You've spent way too long thinking about this, Nick.
Yes.
You've got The Guardian now talking about a homogenous high-trust society is under threat from outsiders entering illegally. I thought diversity was a strength, Nick.
Good point, Leo. Edgy. So its new images show Brazil's uncontacted people are thriving, but with success comes a new threat. So, and the threat is they have to talk to Guardian journalists. So this is the Masaco. But that's not even their name. That's a name given to them after this river because no one knows their actual name because they're uncontacted and they speak in a mysterious language. I'm making some of this up. Right. But I didn't read all of it. This story is as dense as the Amazon rainforest. I'm like, story 16 and it's massive. But they get diseases and stuff because people contact them, right?
So like the Native Americans, when the Europeans arrived, they brought diseases that people didn't have the immunity to handle. But what's interesting here is that The Guardian is talking about these Brazilian tribes, these communities, and saying it's bad if immigrants come to their area, even though the immigrants are going to be bringing a lot of good stuff. There's going to be a lot of doctors and engineers. They're going to be bringing
advancements,
new types of food. So, spicy food that they might not already have. So you'd think The Guardian would be incredibly in favour. I thought immigration was a wonderful thing and would just enrich
Bring them over.
But you're saying The Guardian should recognise their culture as an inherent dignity and they should be left alone.
Yeah, what I'm saying is Cockneys and the Dagenham River Basin should have UNESCO World Heritage
Well, we
status.
think they're called Cockneys, but we don't know their language.
It's their own language.
It's been given to them, that name, by outsiders. Sorry, Ben.
No, worry. I'd just say bring them over. Why not? The more the
Bring
merrier.
who over where?
The Brazilian tribe.
To where?
I don't know much about this story, to be honest. There's a Brazilian tribe and they should be left well alone, I say. Until the bulldozers come and take the trees away, leave them.
Right, OK. I think they might want a PlayStation and OnlyFans, so let's get in touch with them. Anyway, we've got The Sun now with a warning not to use genealogy kits if you think you might murder someone in the future, Ben.
The Sun, how cops use at-home DNA kits to uncover criminals in your family, from Golden State Killer to mystery baby deaths. All these sort of 23andMe DNA things where you send off your DNA and you find out that you're 20% victim and stuff like that. Can the police not do their own work? Don't snitch, never snitch, even if it's your own family. Yeah. Don't be sending your DNA off, even if my uncle was the Yorkshire Ripper.
But I don't think murderers should have any sort of protection. I think if murderers or people who've committed other vile crimes, I'm not talking about people who've sent a tweet. They shouldn't be tracked down with genealogy kits. But if you murdered somebody, I think fair enough. And somebody's put your you've put your DNA on one of these genealogy sites. Yeah, brilliant.
But how is it getting to this point? How are the police going, right, we've got nothing, what are we going to do? Well, if you looked at Ancestry.com, have we spoke to them or get some DNA?
I've never trusted those sites. I've always thought they want my DNA for something, so I've never trusted. And now I know what it is if I do a load of murders, they will have it. Yeah. And so I will not do it.
And who knows what they'd use it for in the future as well. Well, we've got the Daily Mail now with the sad news that Cadbury's is no longer fit for a king, Nick.
Yeah, it's Sadbury's, not my joke, the Daily Mail's. After 170 years, King strips Cadbury of royal warrant, despite it being the late Queen's favourite chocolate that she would be gifted every Christmas, which seems like one of these bad reforms that we don't want. Why do that? But they're awarded these warrants in recognition of the supply of goods or services to the royal household, but he's stripped them of it. I don't actually know why. Why has he stripped them of it?
Because it's made in Poland or Bangladesh or something now?
I didn't actually get to the end to see why he'd stripped them of it. I was too fascinated by the Amazon rainforest.
They're using that milk, aren't they? The Bovia, is it Bovia feed milk?
Has it got...
But Nestle still has the warrant. Aren't they way more controversial?
Yeah, the same, yeah.
They still have the warrant.
So no chocolate has got clean fingers, ironically, because you won't have clean fingers after eating it. Well, the show is nearly over, so let's take another quick look at tomorrow's front pages. We have the Express with Labour set to drive UK headlong into recession. The Independent have UK businesses brace for economic gloom. The Daily Mail lead with economy is heading for worst of all worlds. The Sun has Tyson Fury says it's not over. The Guardian leads with revealed £100 million spent to thwart special needs claims. And the Daily Star has jingle smells. Millions won't shower between Christmas and New Year. And that's it for tonight's show. Thank you so much to my guests, Ben Adams and Nick Dixon. Simon Evans will be here tomorrow at 11 p.m, joined by Paul Cox and Nick Dixon once again. And if you're watching at 5 a.m, then stay tuned for breakfast. And have a great Christmas if I don't see you before. Goodbye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. As we go through the Christmas period, we'll see much milder weather affecting the UK. A lot of cloud around at times, giving outbreaks of rain, mainly towards the northwest, elsewhere largely dry. At the moment, we've got a chilly north to northwesterly airstream affecting the UK, tightly packed isobars, with low pressure anchored there towards the northeast of the UK. And as we head for the evening and through the overnight period, we hold on to brisk winds, a gusty north to northwesterly airstream feeding further showers in from the northwest. The showers are a little bit wintry at times across the high ground in Scotland, with the best of the clear spells developing towards the south and east of the UK. And wherever you are, quite a chilly night. Temperatures down into mid to low single figures, perhaps locally dipping down to around freezing, giving a patchy frost in places and the odd icy patch towards the northeast of the UK as well. As for Monday, well, we start the day with further wintry showers towards the northeast. The showers mainly wintry on the high ground in Scotland. Elsewhere across the country, some sunshine, with rain approaching the west coast there first thing on Monday. Outbreaks of rain also reaching much of Northern Ireland, but notice temperatures here a little bit milder